What's up, y'all? Down South 77 here again, and you are watching 3 Star Draw. At least I hope you're watching 3 Star Draw. It's a channel where I talk about G.I. Joe classified and classified related things. Sometimes we use adult words, so you have been warned. Today we are back to the Limelight series, and we are going to be talking about G.I. Joe classified number 27, the awesome, nefarious, badass Major Sebastian Bludd. I know I didn't line all that up right. I just like to do it. So we're going to take a look at Major Bludd. I've got my original Major Bludd here in a couple of pieces. So I'm going to get him out and look at him a little bit, and then we're going to get into the classified version, which, if you are amongst the many, you probably think that Major Bludd is probably the best classified figure out there, if not the best head sculpt. Is he? We're going to take a look at him and find out. Let's move some cameras and lights and all that stuff around, and we're going to look at this war criminal. All right, there he is, all the way from 1983. Here is my original Major Bludd figure. Now, I mentioned he's not completely all there. He's kind of standing funny. You can't really see it from the angle, but it's, oh no, my body fell apart. So yeah, his O-ring is toast, but he's actually in pretty good shape. So on the original, he has this arm that has no articulation in it. It's just the solid arm. And of course, this arm does. I have a swivel arm here. My Major Bludd's actually in pretty good shape. I hadn't looked at him for a while. He's got a little bit of rub there. So I just always thought he was a cool looking figure. Got his sidearm. He's kind of a plain sort of figure. He's got his body armor on and his dog tags here. So he's not, he's just a cool figure. The guy looks menacing. He's got the eye patch. So Major Bludd, here, you sit over there, buddy. You just sit down. Well, there you go. That'll work. Oh, it reminds me of that part from Clerks, and I'm not even gonna say it. So Major Bludd, out of all of Cobra's rogues gallery, Major Bludd is one of the absolute most ruthless characters. The cartoon made him out to be a little bit goofy, but not super goofy. Like, he's not anything in um, Dick animation goofy at all. He's not metalhead goofy. He's just, they had to tone him down, and they toned him way down. Now, you can see that he's military tactician, all that stuff. But Major Bludd is a pretty major badass. If you read his file card, I've got his file card pulled up. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but he was born in Sydney, Australia. His primary military specialist is terrorist. So I'm all about Cobras. I'm pro Cobra. If you've ever seen my display or, talk to me, like, I'm all about the Cobra. In real life, this is a dude that you hope never exists. He is 100% mercenary, no morals. He is absolutely for sale, and he is a military tactical genius. Major Bludd received his military training in the Australian Special Air Forces and joined the French Foreign Legion and worked as a military advisor. Does not go into a great deal of detail on his file card. Just lets you. It says he has a tactical mind like a steel trap, and he's proficient in pretty much every weapon that there is. Um, he is wanted for war crimes in Rhodesia and Libya. Rhodesia no longer exists in the form that it existed when this file card was written. It is now Zambia and Zimbabwe. I did not look up Zambia. Zimbabwe has a crime rate of 6.4% out of 100,000. 6.4 out of 100,000 people as far as a homicide rate. That sounds pretty high till you look at the same year, and the United States was 8.6. So, but then you look at Libya. Libya's is off the charts. Libya's total crime rate in 2001 was about 60%. You've got to do some major shit to be wanted for war crimes in Libya. And this was, written in 80, probably written in 82 for 83. And, what was going on in Libya back then? You watched the news if you're my age. You were a little kid, but you remember hearing Libya and all the crazy shit they did and did to us. This dude is wanted for war crimes in Libya. So, how ruthless of a person do you have to be? So, the other thing you need to know about Major Bludd is he writes bad poetry. They got to throw in the little blurbs that make them quirky, and they had to do it, and I always like those little tidbits. I'm not gonna read the quote that's on his file card because it's horrible, but in quotations at the bottom, it is from the Attica Gazette. Attica is in maximum security prison, so I guess he got published in the Attica paper there. So there's a Wikipedia entry for him that goes into a little more detail. He's wanted on 3 continents total. Expert with everything pretty much: sharpshooter, plastic explosive, long range sniper rifles, garrots, blunt instruments, poison ice picks. Who uses a poison ice pick? A poison ice pick with this arm. He's gonna pick your ass. He's not gonna pick your ass, but you know what I mean. Saturday night specials, which if you don't know what that is, that's the old school revolvers. They were usually like 32s or 25s or some 25 automatic. Usually like a 32 caliber revolver you can slip in your pocket, shoot somebody at the bar after losing a game of pool. You don't mess around with Jim. So there's the old school figure, and I gotta say, Bludd. I always thought this figure was cool. I've mentioned some of my older cousins that got me into Joe's, and Bludd was one of the figures that they had that I thought was absolutely awesome. And then I wound up getting him. So I'm gonna just set him right over there. And now we come to the meat and potatoes. There he is in all his glory. This is the classified Major Bludd. He come out in 2021. The cousin that me and him are still big time into Joe's and hang out all the time and talk about Joe's and all that stuff. This was actually his first figure. So the guy that got me into collecting classified, this was his first figure, and then he started going back and picking them up because he saw how good this figure is. Now, I have another friend that I have made since I have begun collecting from the classified community Facebook group, who's helped me build quite a bit of my collection. His name is Jesse James. He lives out on the West Coast. He, similar to how I feel for scrap iron, he is pro Bludd. He actually has a display in his house he calls the Hall of Bludd. So shout out to my boy Jesse, because I didn't get Major Bludd from him, but I got a lot of my earlier figures from Jesse, and he's hooked me up, and we do a lot of trading. So there he is. There's your boy. So on this one, they took his arm and they made it articulated, which I think is awesome. That always hindered the original. And he's got the, I guess that is Mars. Never paid a lot of attention to that. That's what that looks like to me, is the Mars logo. So they did a great job updating this figure. I've seen some people say that they want a more this version of Major Bludd. My light's not really picking it up, but I mean this is brown. I don't know. I don't know how much more of an updated figure that you could want. Um, Maybe something. Maybe if they did a retro where they recolored him or something. But he's got the body armor. Yeah, he's got his pistol. Of course, they give him knee pads because they give every damn body knee pads. But he's got the badass holster. He's got whatever these are. I'm guessing that's either just a fancy belt or they're maybe flash grenades. But I do not have my original Major Bludd's backpack or his gun that he come with. But they updated the gun for the classified Major Bludd, and it is his gun is basically a single rocket launcher. So I guess you could take that out and you could use it as a pistol, but this is a single rocket launcher, which is just cool. And I've people say, "Oh, it's too long," and it's a portable rocket. You're shooting a rocket out of a pistol. It's not gonna be a Saturday night special. So he does come with that, and I see people. This was his pistol he comes with, his revolver, and I've seen people that don't care for this. How do you not like this? It's huge. Of course, it's huge. This is a guy that wants to intimidate you. Of course, this pistol is going to be huge. This is like a Smith and Wesson 500 Magnum 20 whatever 30 years before that gun was even invented. To me, that's what that looks like. That looks like a Smith 500. That's what my Major Bludd carries. I don't know what yours does. It's all black. It's got the paint app on the cylinder, and it does fit in his hand, and he can hold it. I promise. Can you sit like this for months on my shelf? Anyway, it goes in there. Yeah, there we go. So, trigger guard. I mean, that dude is just straight up intimidating. I mean, look at that. So, of course, on this classified, we've got to talk about the fact that his helmet comes off. On this one, we never knew what he looked like under here. He was just a crazy expert Australian. So we get to see on the classified, we get to see what he looks like under there. Now we got to see what he looked like under there in the comic. This is pretty accurate as far as facial shape, and he's got, he's getting older there. They just did this again with Hawk, where they put the little bit of gray in there. Dog tags are, of course, removable, and this is confirmed by Ron Rudat. These are Joe dog tags. Now, we don't know what Joe's. It could have been green shirt Joe's. These are meant to be G.I. Joe dog tags. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this means that this dude, move the camera there, this dude's killed 7 Joes. That's a lot of Joes. So of course we got to look at the face and the detail they put in it. This is one of the things people want, the more traditional eye patch. I don't have a problem with this. I think it's an awesome update myself. So he's got the scarring along his face and got his mustache right. So I think he looks really really good. They have not really they've gotten better and then worse and then better again with the face sculpts. I didn't notice until I was showing this figure to somebody else. I didn't even realize it that I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not. Right there above his right eye, he actually has a wart molded in. Right there, you can see it above his right eye. The dude has a wart. They sculpted in a wart. And my camera is not picking it up very well, but it actually has a little bit of paint app around it. It looks like he has stubble. He's got stubble there. So, where is this these days on the classified figures? We've gotten some fantastic head sculpts, but I don't think they have done anything close to Major Bludd. Uh, I really like Scrap Iron, and they did really well with Scrap Iron's face. But as I mentioned in my video, he just needed a little more color in it, and it's here on Major Bludd. Like the lips are the right color, the scars are the right color. It's got highlighting around that mole. People are correct when they say that this is the best face sculpt. As much as I would like to give that to Scrap Iron and a couple other contenders, they need to get back to doing this on figures. And the other thing about these figures is they feel solid. The only issues I've had with any of these earlier figures like this, the Cobra Highland line, some of them are kind of floppy. My barbecue is kind of floppy. It's his hips, and he tends to fall over. Breaker is horrible. Breaker has fallen and knocked my guys over a bunch of times. So I've actually got him positioned where no matter how he falls, he's not going to take anybody else out. And I do sometimes have a little trouble with his right ankle where standing. All of the joints on this guy are still pretty stiff. I've never heated this figure up. When I got my Major Bludd, I didn't even realize you were supposed to heat the figures up. So mine's broken loose from just posing him and moving him around. So this guy is one of the absolute best figures in classified. You've seen reviews. There's people that's done many of them before I ever got to him. So, but just my opinion on him, the molding, the pants. I love the holster. The holster is an old, it's a more of an old cowboy type holster more than a practical military holster, and it looks like it's got stuff where it's embossed, and it's the kind of stuff he would wear, and he's got to have a holster attached at 3 points to hold this cannon of a gun he's got. And this will also fit in there. So you can actually do that. I had him like that for a long time. So Major Bludd is just tough. He's done all kind of dastardly shit in the comics. I mean, he was bad in the cartoon, but they had to tone him down. In the comics, I mean, he's kidnapped a nurse. He impersonated Destro. He tried to kill Destro. Later on in the IDW run, he was going to execute Lady J. Like, dude's ruthless. He is a terrorist. And in toys and comics, you love this guy, but this is a guy you would never want to exist. And I always thought this one kind of looked like Bennett from Commando with Schwarzenegger. You remember that dude that had the chainmail shirt? He kind of looks like him, but I thought that dude was a cool character. One thing I've never asked anybody from Australia is, were they upset or proud of his voice? He was voiced by Michael Bell, who did a lot of the Joes and Cobras. So if there's any Australians, and I know I've got a couple Australian friends that may watch this. I want to know your thoughts on Major Bludd's voice in the cartoon because it's just that right amount of cartoony, villainous, not quite annoying, but almost there, but you still want to hear what comes out of his mouth next. It's a simple military objective. Oh, I can't do it. I'm not going to try. So, really, the only flaws with this figure, period, lie in whatever joint issues you may have. And this. This is the only real issue with this figure. Is rocket launcher pistol. These slots here, you can detach the rockets and pop them in there. And if you put them in there and you ever touch this guy again to move him, they pop right out. This missile or these missiles, if you put them in there, are probably the most lost accessory for the earlier figures. It's really thin. I mean, they go in. It don't matter which way you put them in, but if you put them in this way, the fins on the rocket will kind of snap on there, and they do fit. So I mean, if he's just chilling, if you got him standing on the shelf, it's fine. But as soon as you go to pick him up, oh shit, something fell off. Where's me missile? It's down here under the freaking couch. We're never going to see it again. He comes with two. I keep the other one in a Ziploc bag in my bin with my accessories for my Joes. And that is the other thing with the backpack is the peg is either too long or the hole is not deep enough, Beavis. So it doesn't fit in there well. It will stay, it won't fall out, but if you move him around a lot or you hit it just right, I think that's probably the best I've ever gotten it to fit in right there. Mine just, it seems to, maybe I haven't been putting it in at the right angle. um, but it seems to come out a lot. So I usually leave it on him, leave that missile in the pistol, leave the one of the other pistols in his hand, and then I put the spare missile in the baggie. So there he is. That is Major Sebastian Bludd. Absolute puts the terror in terrorists. This is a dude you never ever want to meet anywhere, and you especially don't want him in your country committing some damn war crimes. Also, this was confirmed to. We've always, as a kid, I always assumed it was a blast shield. I always thought it was a blast shield for his rocket pistol to protect his arm from backblast. This was originally intended to be a robot kind of cybernetic arm. So it's starting to look like one of them pictures that Thanos copter does. uh, so anyway, there's check him out if you've never looked at his pictures, but it ain't for everybody. So yeah, it was originally designed to be a robot type arm, but they never really did much with the design. But we just always assumed it was a blast shield. So stand up there with your weak ankles. There he is. There is Major Sebastian Bludd from the classified Cobra Island subset that we never got any story for. He is in everybody's top lists on classified, and he is in mine as well. If you don't have him, I recommend getting him. It took me a little while to get him because he does command a premium because he's one of those earlier figures, but he is also worth it. Most of those Cobra Island early figures, most of them are worth the money that they command because of the detail, the sculpting. They come with most of them. He really doesn't, but a lot of them they come with a lot of weapons, and of course now they ain't making them anymore. So he is 100% worth the money if you've got to spend a little bit to pick him up. He's come down a little, but not much. He's not really going anywhere. So if you don't have him, you need him in your collection. If you've got the command staff and Cobra, I usually put him somewhere around Scrap Iron and Firefly and Zartan, because those are the mercenaries. They are all for hire with absolutely little loyalty, and Bludd probably has the least of all. So there he is. I hope you like this Limelight review of Major Bludd. I'd appreciate it. If you like the video, subscribe. I'm going to be doing some more of these. They tend to be quite long because I get carried away talking about these figures that I love so much. Love to hate them and hate to love them sometimes, but here they are. So this is Down South 77, and you have been listening to 3 Star Draw. Thanks, guys.